welcome to the class. The first thing you need to do is you need to go to aplusstudents.com and you need to log in, okay, to the website. The subject, the class is for math right now, and your grade is grade 9s. The topic we would be studying today is number sequence, right? Q, number sequences, okay? And the chapter number is, let me give you the chapter. The chapter number is 7. The chapter number is 7. That is number sequence. And the lesson number is 7. Okay. The name of the lesson is write variable, okay, expressions. Expressions for geometric sequences. Okay, let's look at what geometric sequences are. I hope you have logged in, gone to maths, grade 9. The topic is number sequence, chapter 7, and when we go to the lesson 7, it says write variable expressions for geometric sequences. Okay, so let's see what a geometric sequence really is. Let's review this, then we'll do the questions. Okay, so let's suppose if I say the numbers given were 1, 2, 4, 8, and this is the missing number. Okay, so what we can see over here is all the numbers are not increasing by the same additive value, right? If we say this is +1, this is +2, this is +4, right? So there is a difference over here, the difference in the addition. In geometric sequence, we have a ratio. The ratio is represented by an R. Ratio is basically, this is our term number 1, term number 2, term number 3, term number 4, and this would be term number 5, right? The first term is always considered as A. This is a standard that we need to remember. The term number 1 will also always be considered as the A, right? We can represent term 1 with an A. How to find the ratio? Ratio is basically the ratio between any two consecutive terms. We can write term 2 divided by term 1, or even we can write term 3 divided by term 2, or we can write term 4 divided by term 3. Any two given terms will have a ratio, right? So for this question, let's see if they have the same ratio. So can I say term 2, that was 2 upon 1, the ratio comes out to be 2. We for the safe side, we check another ratio. If we say term 3, that is 4 divided by term 2, right? If we divide it by term number 2, the ratio still comes out to be 2. Agreed? So since we found the value of the ratio, we apply the formula for finding a geometric sequence, right? The nth term, the formula for the nth term can be written by Tn, or it can be represented by an, un. Nth term means we can find a particular term. The formula is a multiplied by r to the exponential n minus 1. Okay, if this is the formula that is given to us for finding any geometric sequence, the term number. Okay, let's highlight this because we would be using this over and over again. So if we need to find term number 5, right? We have to find term number 5. So n has been replaced by a 5. So is equals to a. What was the value of a? A is always the first term. 1 multiply by the ratio. The value of the ratio was, the common ratio was 2 to the power, and we considered 5, right? That would be 5 minus 1. Okay. So what we can say is 1 multiplied by 2 exponential 4. And we know that 2 exponential 4 is 2 power 1 is 2, 2 power 2 is 4, 2 cube is 3, and 2 exponential 4 would be 8 and 16. That means this is the answer for term number 5. We can find any missing term using this method. Okay, using the formula we can find any specific term. So this is the generalized formula for finding any specific term in a geometric sequence. We need to consider two things. The first was the formula and the ratio. These are the two requirements that we need to meet in order to find any geometric sequence. Okay, so let's move on to the first question we have. And the ratio could be a fraction value also. It can be any number regardless, right? But it has to be a common ratio. It has to be common throughout the question, okay? Okay, I'll just copy the first question and we'll see if what is given to us, okay? So in question number 1, okay, the statement is big over here. I'll just realign this so that we have some space left. Okay, and let's see if this was the term given to us. Okay, let's realign this. Okay, so for the question number 1, what they are telling us is write an equation to describe the sequence below. Use n to represent the position of a term, right? That's exactly what we did over here. N was representing the position, right? Where n is equals to 1 for the first term. So if the three terms that are given to us are minus 15, I'll just highlight this, minus 15, minus 30, minus 60, and so on, right? So we need to give an equation or an expression in terms of n, right? Describe the sequence. That describes the sequence. Okay, let's say this is term number 1, that is A. The term number 1 is always represented by A. Then this would be term number 2, and we can say this is term number 3. Since this is geometric, right? So since this is geometric, we need to find the common ratio. So let's try finding the common ratio. Okay, if we need to find the common ratio, so can we say term 2 is divided by term 1? This we cancel. 30 divided by 15 is 2. The ratio comes out to be 2. We verify if our common ratio is same. So we can say term number 3 is divided by term number 2. And 60 upon 30 would again be equals to 2. So we can say the ratio comes out to be 2. The common ratio for this is 2. That means they would be changing by the ratio of 2, twice the value, okay? We need to find an equation. We know that the first term will always represent the value of A, and we have the formula for the Tn. Tn represents A multiplied by the ratio to the exponent n minus 1. We need to find equations that is representing the sequence. We do not have to find a specific term. Okay, this can also be known as find the nth term. Okay, this question can also be written as find the nth term. That means we need to find a equation that will give us any specific term depending on the value of n. So we can say we have Tn, we do not know the term number, but we do know that a was minus 15. This a can be substituted by a negative 15, multiply by what? R was given as 2. Agreed? We had the value of R, that is 2 to the power n minus 1. Okay, what we can do is we can further simplify this. Okay, and we can write this as Tn is equals to minus 15, sorry, minus 15, and this would be, or we can write this as 2 to the power n divided by 2, because we know the rule for indices over here. Whenever we have the negative powers, we can divide, right? Either we leave our answer over here in this statement, or we can simplify it to this. I would prefer you leave it right now to this statement, because once we have the value of n, we can always substitute the value of n and we can find the answer. Agreed? So let's not worry about it. Okay. Moving ahead to the next question. Do we have any questions? Is there any question that needs to be answered? Please do ask the questions if there is any question, if there is any confusion. Okay. We'll solve the questions, but more important is to find the solutions to the problems that we're facing. Okay. So the next question says, question number 2 says, find an equation. I'll just write it this. Find an equation for the nth term of the sequence given below. Okay. And the sequence that is given to us is, I'll just copy the sequence, and the sequence given was -2. This is the sequence that is given to us. Okay. So what we can see over here is there are 3 terms given to us. Term number 1 is given, term number 2 is given, term number 3 is given to us, right? If we need to find an equation or an expression for the nth term, right? We know that the first term is always equals to a. This is the standard, right? This we need to remember. Can we find the ratio? We can say the common ratio is always the ratio of 2 consecutive terms. We can say term 2 divided by term 1. That would become minus 8 divided by -2. And the ratio comes out to be 4. Let's verify. Ratio was term 3 divided by term number 2. The term number 3 is -32 divided by -8. And the ratio comes out to be 4, right? So we can say the final answer for the ratio is 4 because it is constant throughout. Both the values of the ratios are same. Agreed? So now what we need to do is we need to find the nth term, right? Generalize, write an equation. We need to write an equation to describe the sequence. So we can say Tn was equals to a multiplied by r to the exponential n minus 1. This is the generalized formula. Okay. So if we do not have the value of n, but we do have the value of a, can this a be substituted by a -2? because this was -2. The first term was -2 multiplied by r is given as 4, 4 to the power n minus 1. And we can say that this is the answer for the generalized term. Okay. But if the question says find, let's suppose if this same question said find term number 4, that means find term number 4. If we continue with the, all we need to do is substitute the value of n by a 4. Should be equals to -2 multiplied by the ratio that was 4, and since we were finding term number 4, this is 4 minus 1. So can we write this as -2 multiplied by 4 exponential 3? Do we know what is 4 exponential 3? 4 times 4 is 16, 16 times 4 is 64, right? So we can say -2 multiplied by 64, and we can say term number 4 comes out to be -128. This should come out to be -128, which should be 4 times of this, right? So our original question was to find the nth term. We did term number 4 just to prove that the term number 4 can be found, term number 10 can be found, term number 100 can be found by using this generalized formula. Okay. Moving to the next question. I'll just copy the next question. Are there any questions? Any concerns? Let's discuss those first. Okay. No questions. Question number 3. If there are any questions, please do let me know. Okay. Find an equation or an expression for the nth term. Nth term means it could be any term, term number 5, term number 15, a generalized equation we need to find, right? Of the sequence, of the geometric sequence given as follows, right? We'll write simply given below. And the question given to us was, the terms given were 8, 16, and 32. Okay, and we show a continuation over here because the sequence is continued. So we can say the term number 1 is always represented by A. Agreed? And we can have this as term number 2, and we can say this is term number 3. So we have two variables, right, in the formula. This is the formula when we need to find the any term, right? This is the formula for Tn, finding a specific term. We need the value of A and we need the value of R. So in order to find the value of R, we can say R is represented by the common ratio. And how we can find the common ratio? Term 2 divided by term 1. Consecutive terms, right? The ratio comes out to be 2. Again, let's confirm. Term number 3 is divided by term number 2. That means the ratio still is 2. That means the common ratio can be written as 2. Agreed? Any questions till now? Because what we are doing right now is the ratio is coming out to be 2, 4. Later on, it will be fractional values also, right? We'll also consider the fractional values for the ratio. And then we'll see how a fractional ratio would impact the sequence, okay? So the formula we have is, we know that this is term number 1, which is equals to A. The formula we have is Tn is equals to A multiplied by the ratio times to the exponent n minus 1, right? So can we say the nth term Tn, we have the value of A, that was 8, multiply by the ratio, and the ratio given was 2. We do not have the value of n, right? So we just leave it n minus 1. So this is the expression, or this is the equation that represents the n minus 1th term, nth term. Nth term could be any term. Okay, let's see what should be the fourth term over here. We're just trying to find the next term in the sequence, right? So if I need to find term number 4, we can also do term number 5, but term 5 will not show us the sequence because we would skip a term in the middle. So term number 4, that means term number 4 should be 8. We would simply substitute n by a 4, that is 4 minus 1, and this becomes 8 into 2 exponential 3. That means 2 exponential 3 means 8, and it should come out to be 64. And we can say this answer would be equal to 64, right? That is technically twice of 32. Every next term is twice of the previous term. That means we had the ratio that was 2. Okay. Moving ahead to the next question, question number 4. Let's see what we can do in question number 4. We have the same questions on our screen. I'm just moving ahead, right? Okay. The next question again says find an equation for the nth term. Nth term means a generalize of the given sequence. Okay. And the given sequence to us in this question is, I'll just make a separator so that we can identify where the question is. Okay. And the given sequence for this is 3, 12, and 48 with a continuation, right? Because the sequence will be a continued, okay? So the first thing, since we know this is, we do not see a common difference. 3 plus 9, and that would be 2 much 36. So we do not have a common difference, right? Each number is not increasing by a common difference. Then let's see if they have a common ratio. Before doing that, we know that term 1 is always represented by A. This is term number 2. This is term number 3, and so on. Can we find the common ratio? Why do we call it common ratio? Can anyone answer? Why am I using the word common ratio? Why not just a ratio? Yes, because the ratio of all the terms should be common or same, right? So we can say term 2, that was 12, divided by term 1, that was 3. The ratio comes out to be 4. Same way, if we need to find the ratio, term 3, that is 48, divided by term number 2, 12, and the ratio comes out to be 4. These two ratios have to be same. Therefore, we are using the term common. Okay. So make sure it is a common ratio. If it's not a common ratio, then it is not a geometric sequence. Okay. So we can say R was 4. The ratio is 4. Okay. We need to find the nth term. We know the formula, that is A into ratio to the exponential n minus 1. If we say Tn, we have the value of A. A was given as 3. Ratio was given as 4. Value of the ratio is 4. And the exponential stays as n minus 1. So we can say this is an equation for the nth term. Nth term can be any given term, right? Okay, in this case, let's try to find term 4 and term number 5. Let's try to find term number 5. Okay, we skip term number 4 and we'll try to find term number 5 directly. So if we need to find term number 5, okay, so all we need to do is replace the n by a 5. That means 3 multiplied by 4 to the power 5 minus 1. That would be 3 into 4 exponential 4. The easiest way to solve 4 exponential 4 is, okay, I'll just give you an explanation. 4 exponential 4 can be written as 4 multiplied by, I'm just giving you an example. This can be 16 times 16, right? Or 4 square exponential 2. So that would be 256. So when we say 3 is multiplied by 256, the answer should be 768 is the term number 5, and 768. Okay, that is 4 times of the previous term. Now if we would want to skip everything and we would want to find term number 4 directly, right? So we know that the formula for the ratio was, see, we can say ratio was term number 5 divided by term number 4. Agreed? Can we swap the places of ratio and, so can we write term number 5 is divided by ratio. Therefore, term number 4 comes out to be, term number 5 was 768 divided by 4. Therefore, term number 4 would come out to be 192, right? There are several ways to solve a question, right? So we can say this should come out to be 192. We can always prove by this. Divided by 4 should be 48. Divided by 4 should be 12. Divided by 4 should be 3, right? So we can always skip the values, but our requirement, this can be only done when the term numbers they are asking us to find are in a sequence. Okay, but if they would ask us to find term number 27, then we cannot do this, not through the ratio method, right? We need to know at least one term next to the missing term, maybe after it or maybe before it. We need to know one term, right? Then only we can apply the ratio method. Otherwise, we simply apply Tn is equals to a in times r to the power n minus 1, and we find the answer. Okay, agreed? Any questions up till now? Yes, I just said that. We can apply this ratio method only if we know the value of ratio and we know another adjacent term to the term which we need to find. If it's like term number 27 and we do not know 26 or 28 term, then we cannot apply the ratio method. Then we have to go through the equation. Okay. Moving ahead to question number 5. In question number 5, they're asking us to find, okay, 1 minute, please. I'll just move on to the next question. In the next question, what they're asking us is find and an equation for the nth term of the given sequence. Okay, just the same statement, and the terms given are, I think, yes, 1 minute. The sequence given is 5, -10, and +20. Okay, these are the 3 terms given to us. Okay, so can we say that the first term is always represented by a? This would be term number 2, this would be term number 3. Before finding an expression, we need to see if they have a common ratio. So we need to find the common ratio and see whether if it's common or not. So ratio would mean term 2 divided by term 1, it comes out to be -2. It doesn't make any difference if the ratio is negative, positive, fraction. It doesn't make any difference. Okay. Term number 320 divided by -10, it still comes out to be -2. So we can say the common ratio is -2. Okay. We need to find an expression for the nth term. So we can say Tn is equals to a multiplied by r to the exponential n minus 1. Tn would be, a was given as the first term, right? And the first term is 5 multiplied by r to the power n minus 1. And the value of r was -2. So this is our answer for this given sequence, right? And if we had to find term number 4, if only we had to find term number 4, so we can write find term number 4. We simply replace the n by a 4. We can write 5 multiplied by minus to the power 4 minus 1. What is minus 2 exponent 3? Minus 2 exponent 3, a negative number with an odd exponent always gives a negative answer. So what we can say is 2 exponent 3 is 8 with a negative sign, and it should be -40. Right? This is something that we do not have to do. We are just trying to show, and we just trying to see if we understand, like if this equation would really find the next term or not, right? We're just trying to show that. Okay, moving ahead with another example. We will do a few questions, but I would try to focus more on giving you examples. Okay, I'll just copy this so that I do not have to write it again. Okay, let's say this is given to us, and the terms given to us are -9, -18, -36. I think it's quite simple, right? We can find the pattern already. So if we can find the pattern, because this is 9, 9 times 2 is 18, 18 times 2 is 36, right? We have the pattern in front of us. But we need to see, that means the number is being doubled. And the next term should be -72. But we do not need to find the next term. What we need to find is, we need to find the nth term, an equation for the nth term, right? So the first thing first, we can say this is term number 1a, this is term number 2, this is term number 3. Can we say the common ratio? It has to be a common ratio. If it's not a common ratio, it's not a geometric sequence. So can we say term 2 divided by term 1 comes out to be +2? The ratio is +2. Since we are using the term common, we need to verify with the second set of numbers. -36 is divided by term 3 is divided by term 2, and it still comes out to be +2. So we can say the ratio is 2, and that's confirmed. That means the common ratio is 2. The formula for the nth term is Tn is equals to a multiplied by ratio to the exponent n minus 1. Can we apply the value of a? We have the value of a. A was -9. Multiply by the ratio. The value of the ratio was given as 2 to the power n minus 1, right? So we can say the formula for the nth term is given something like this. Agreed? We already said that, we already guessed that term number 4 should be -72. Let's prove this, okay? So if we say find term number 4, so can we replace n by 4? -9 multiply by 2 to the power 4 minus 1 minus 9 into 2 exponential 3. And we know that 2 exponential 3 is 8 and 9 times 8 is 72. But since 9 was negative, we put a negative. That was term 4. We showed that, proved, right? It's proved over here that this nth term equation is correct for us, right? So what you need to remember is for any given for any given geometric sequence, right? If ever you need to find the nth term or the generalized formula, all you need to do is you need to substitute the value of a, that is the term number 1, and you need to substitute the value of r, that is the common ratio. Okay, let's give it a try. Let's do one more question. And after this, we will try to do some examples, okay? We will try some questions from the test. So the next question we have is, let's see, okay, I'll just copy paste this, find an equation for the nth term of the sequence. I'll just write down the sequence. The sequence given is 26, 52, and 104. Okay, this would be term 4, this is term 5, and so on. Okay, so we can say this is term number 1, which is represented by a, term number 2, term number 3, and let's suppose if we need to find term number 5 for this after we're done with the question. Okay, after we are done with finding the nth term, let's find term number 5. So can we find the common ratio? Because common ratio is the basis for a geometric sequence, right? So we can say term number 2 is divided by term number 1. The ratio comes out to be 2. If we need to confirm the ratio, we can say term number 3 is divided by term number 2. The ratio is confirmed to be 2. We say the common ratio comes out to be 2. A is always the first term, right? Term 1 would always be represented by A, and the formula we have is Tn, nth term is equals to A multiplied by the ratio to the exponent n minus 1. That means term Tn would be equals to A was given as 26 multiply by the ratio. Ratio was given as 2 and n was unknown, so it stays as n minus 1. So this is the answer for the nth term. If we need to find term number 5, okay, so all we need to do is we replace n by 5. That means 26 multiplied by 2 to the power 5 minus 1, and we know that 2 exponential 4 is 16, and 26 multiplied by 16 would come out to be 416. That would be term number 5. So we can find any specific term number as long as we know the ratio and the first term. Okay, so finding the specific term, in this case they were just asking us to find the nth equation for the nth term. That was simply this. We extended the question and we tried to find another term in the question. Okay, so let's go to a few questions. Any questions, anyone? Okay, let's move ahead and let's see what we have for the test. Okay, let's try doing a few questions from the test. Okay, so I'll just pick up, just a minute please, I just need to go back. That was, I just have to reset this. Sorry, this was 7 and 7, right? 7 and 7. Just a minute please. I go to the test and I start the test. So I'll just copy the question Okay, I'll remove the excess part from the question so that we do not have to worry about the excess part. Okay, so this is the first question they have given us. Okay, and what they're asking us is, in question number 1, we are given two options, A or B. Let's see which option is the correct answer. Okay, okay, basically what they are doing is they need the answer in this form. It has to be A and this has to be R, right? Because we know that Tn is always equals to A multiplied by R to the power n minus 1. So the first value will be representing the value of A and the second value should represent the value of R. So is there any way we can find the value of A? We know that the term 1 is always the value of A, right? So they both have 15. Which one has a negative 15? That is B, because A was negative 15, right? So most probably it has to be, right? B has to be correct answer. Let's confirm the ratio also. How do we find the ratio? We say term 2 divided by term 1 minus 30 divided by minus 15. It comes out to be 2. That means A comma R should be equals to minus 15 comma 2. That is option number B. Okay, agreed. I did an example for you people. The next question, you do it for me, okay? So I'll just copy the next question. There are only 10 questions for this topic, right? Quite easy. We'll try to do the maximum number of questions that we can, okay? So I'll just copy this. We need to, for question number 2, we need to find the values of A and R. In the terms, this would be the value of A and this is the value of R. This is option A and option B. Can anyone help me out with this? For the given sequence, geometric sequence, the terms given are 8, 16, and 32, right? So can we find the first term? What should be the first term? What should be term number 1? See, we know that term 1 is always equals to A. And we can see that term 1 was equals to A. That means A should be 8, right? They both have a positive 8. So now it all depends on the ratio. And how do we find the ratio? Ratio is basically term 2 divided by term 1, or any two consecutive terms. Sorry, 16 divided by 8 would be 2. So that means A comma R should be equals to, yes, thank you. It should be option B, right? Thank you so much. Let's look at the next. It should be 8 comma 2. Let's look at another example. Another question from the test. And let's see what would be our answer. I'll just move this ahead so that it does not conflict. This is our question number 3 from the test, okay? And the terms that are given to us are these terms: negative 7, negative 14, and negative 28. This is option number A and option number B. This is minus 7, 4, and this is minus 7 and 2. So the final decision point is where we can find the decision would be made based on the value of R, right? The ratio, because we all know that term 1 is A. Agreed? So what should be the answer? Option A or option B? Just by looking at the values, we can also say 14 divided by 7 would be 2. 28 divided by 14 is? So we can say 14 upon 7 is 2, right? They both had a negative sign. Similarly, negative 28 divided by negative 14 is still 2. That means A and R. That means the value of A and R should be A was minus 7 and R was plus 2. Okay. Yes, option B would be the correct answer, right? So we click on option B. It shows us that it's the correct answer. A few of questions are left. We are done, like 30% is done. The remaining questions are there, but they are very simple. Complete the questions, okay? Complete the test, and please do practice, okay? Best of luck. Have a nice day. Thank you so much. Take care.